Good morning. I wanted to connect and have a dialogue and exchange some thoughts. I grew up I'm honored and freaking lucky to grow up in one of the most diverse cities in the country. My dad was in the military, and it's Travis Air Force Base, city of Fairfield, right next to Vallejo. Top 10 most diverse cities in the country. I now live in Honolulu, Hawaii. The population, last I've looked up for African Americans, is less than 5%. One of the weaknesses I feel here in this beautiful state is the lack of true diversity. There's a lot of Asian ethnic diversity, but beyond that, there is not a lot of diversity here. So I want to take a moment to share that background, to acknowledge that many people that grew up in the same community I did do not consider themselves to be allies with the Black community or Black people. I've engaged in several conversations. I wish I could be more powerful, more influential. I wish I had the power in 5 minutes or a 5-minute YouTube to show perspectives of what I've collected in my lifetime to reach the conclusion that, systematic oppression is real towards Black people, and that white privilege is real. I've had this conversation for a long time, and it's always a tough dialogue with people that I love so dearly. I've had Trump supporters, people that are very much against the acknowledgement of white privilege, stay in my home. I was in their wedding. Consider some of them my best friends. I'm in a very unique position in that regard. So I feel like it's my obligation to engage in these tough conversations as much as possible. And what I find is consistently a challenge is one thing that I wanted to share is something I learned in college called Invitational Rhetoric. And by the way, I don't think college is a requirement of any type of enlightenment. For me, it did change a lot of my perspective for the better, and I'm forever grateful. I didn't believe in white privilege prior to college. I had George Bush on my Franken-Covey planner. I didn't believe in abortion. I also thought that everyone was afforded the same exact opportunities, and for me, as a minority female who's also half white, I just worked my ass off, and I thought, everyone else should be able to do that to get where they need to go. I was very much connected to that train of thought. So I regrettably can relate to that perspective. So now that I have a completely opposing view, I've grown up and researched, learned, studied ethnic studies in college. Everything has changed for me. And I share this to be very open about my journey, and in hopes that people can think about that when they talk to people that are so passionate about their view, whether it's one direction or another. And with that said, I want to highlight invitational rhetoric, okay? So invitational rhetoric is the ability to have an emotionally mature conversation with an individual that has a very opposite thought of you. The goal in the conversation is to move the needle in perspective. So whether I agree with you or not, we're going to exchange our perspectives with the understanding. Before even talking, we have the understanding that in a 5-minute YouTube video, and a 5-minute discussion, an hour-long discussion, a 7-year discussion, I may never get you to believe exactly what I feel. And I think that's an important thing to point out, because I think it changes the tone and the dynamic. I understand. I do not understand. I can imagine that people are tired. I can see that invitational rhetoric is a very easy thing to do when your brother, father, sister, auntie died, was brutally attacked, decades of discrimination. So, mind you, this is perspective of someone to consider. Okay, so just consider it, because what I've learned when talking to somebody that is very passionate and fueled by their position, in any situation in life, what is the end result that I'm trying to get at, and what will be the most effective? That is my privilege. I have the privilege to think that way. I don't think of my dad that I've lost as somebody who's lost his life at the hands of police brutality, or, he's a Filipino American, and I'm sure he's had discrimination, but that wasn't a common theme in my life. And his father was military, so he had, generations of male leadership in his life, coming from the Philippines. So I recognize that, due to the atrocities of what's happened in this country for the last 400 years, that's my privilege. I consider myself and identify myself as a privileged individual. I have been afforded opportunities because my lighter shade of tone, and it's a disgusting reality. And here's what I've done to change what I can. I will be at the protest. I expect them to be peaceful on Saturday. I will be with my daughter. I want to call that out because I've seen people communicate, why would you take your child to the protest? That's the parent's fault if the child has mace on their face or tear gas or has a gun pointed near them. That's your privilege. That's your privilege talking. You would never want to fight a fight like that because you've never had to. So why would you understand what that's like? I don't think... I know that I'm privileged in so many ways. I still would bring my child to a rally and a protest and support what I believe in. But I also want to acknowledge that, I would leave if it got violent. And hopefully I'd have the opportunity to. Hopefully I wouldn't be pinned down to the ground with no control because I was at the wrong place at the wrong time and the police decided that I was doing everything wrong when I wasn't, because that's what I'm seeing a lot of too. I'm seeing a lot of beat up faces and disgusting photos of people of color that were verifiably peaceful and destroyed. I mean, our own president, let's acknowledge what's really going on. Gassed a bunch of people that were peaceful just so he could take a picture with the Bible. And this guy doesn't represent the Bible to me at all. And I know that's going to be interesting if anyone's on this 8 minutes later. A lot of my religious friends who are big Trump supporters, that's your leader? That's disgusting. That's disappointing. That's your truth. But I encourage you to take an opportunity to discuss these really difficult matters with people that don't mirror your perspective. I challenge you to donate to organizations that you've researched and feel connected to and you think will make a difference. For those of you that can't protest or don't choose to, if you made it this far, I challenge you to think about what you're so upset about. Because I don't think you're upset about the Black Lives Movement. Maybe you are. I mean, a couple layers down, you might be. You're talking about the violence of the riots. That is a small percentage and a big impact. There's bad in everything, especially our police forces nationwide. And for you to deny that or not acknowledge it or silence it or make it sound less than what it is, shame on you. shame on you for not trying to learn and understand and gain perspectives outside of your own. Shame on you. And I will be here to engage in that dialogue. I am not a representative at all. I just feel that I have a voice, and communications was my major. Not that I was a 4.0 student, but I definitely want to do what I feel that I can to be there as an ally and to support. So I will continue to support Black businesses. I will continue to empower and uplift my friends, families, and strangers that are people of color. I will continue to, for my lifetime, discuss white privilege, make sure my daughter knows what that is and how it impacts her and how it impacts others. We have gone up to a hill over by my neighborhood and said a prayer for equality. She's 2.5, and I'm going to make sure that my impact with her is she's well aware of the things that are important for her to know and the realities that exist in the world we live in. So I'm probably going to shut off my social media pretty soon because I'm losing my mind, and for self-care reasons, I think it'll be healthy for me to step away for a moment, and I recognize that's a privilege, but I also recognize that will make me a better advocate long term. So do what you need to do. Stay in the lane that you feel comfortable with. I support this movement in any fashion or way. If that is your way of protesting, then that is your decision. I don't have anything else to say. I'm just sending my love. And for all of the people that I've discussed this with that are white and tell me they're tired, imagine how it feels to be a Black person. Not only right now in America, but for the last 400 years. Don't tell me you're tired. With all due respect. Even for me, I have no right to say those words. And I'm half Filipino, but I just want to make sure you guys understand that when you silence the movement by talking about rioting, when you say you're tired and you say that all lives matter, you are silencing a community that needs you. I'm sure you've seen the meme, I hope you have, of the house burning down. If not, Google it. There are people that are rightfully doing what they feel is necessary to be heard, and they are angry, and they deserve to be heard. And people say, if they ruined my house or came to my house, what would I do? And it's like, I mean, I'd protect my daughter. I would do my best to protect my home. And it would be a part of the casualty of this situation. I don't associate the movement with somebody destroying my property. I'm not delusional. I know that the movement is bigger than that. But if my home is a casualty as a result of that, then that is what it is. And I hope that's not the case because I just bought it, but I've got insurance. And will it take forever for me to get money back, if at all? For sure. I've got friends and Ohana to help along the way, or I've got the funds to find accommodations in the meantime. Like, you guys, you just gotta really put things into perspective. And that's what my attempt was today in less than 15 minutes. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. I encourage you to share dialogue with people that do not mirror your perspectives. That is my takeaway of what I can do to contribute, is to help move that needle. And sending love and aloha to all of you. And those of you in Hawaii, I'll see you at the protest with my daughter on Saturday. Love you guys. Love each and every one of you. There's a lot of love out there. Stop focusing on the hate. There's so much love. There's so much love in this movement. There's so much love for each other. in support and solidarity.